displaying the glory of God's creation by exploring America one park at a time. Welcome to Parking Full Time with Big Dave, the parks professor. First hole. The par and distance are at the top of the screen. This hole has 2 tees, and that's the reason for the 2 distances at the top of the screen. The 2 tees actually make this hole play very similar. It's a dogleg left from either tee with dense woods on the inside of the dogleg. There's also dense woods just beyond the basket, so you really don't want to miss long. I want to welcome you back to Parking Full Time. I'm Big Dave, the parks professor. There's the first basket and the view back to the tee. The second hole plays very slightly uphill. It offers 2 possible lines of play. We're going to walk the direct line, which is very tight. There's also a slightly wider line off to the left, and when I threw here, I actually used the line off to the left. I used the left to right disc flight to get up close to the basket in only one throw. You can see this basket is perched on the gradual hillside, and these are really nice prodigy baskets. There's the view back to the tee. The third hole plays from a slightly elevated tee. This is a really flat course, and so any elevation is really appreciated. There is a stream at the base of the hill, so this hole is technically a forced water carry, although no one's going to have any trouble with that stream. We're going to jump across the stream and head up to the basket. There are a few trees here on either side of the fairway, and there are also a few limbs that create a bit of a low ceiling. But the fairway's wide enough and this hole's short enough that a good throw should set up a birdie opportunity. We are at Powell Station Park. This is a small community park on the north side of Knoxville, right next to Powell High School. There's the basket and the view back to the tee. The fourth hole plays directly across this wide open and really flat mowed grass field. This is a pretty boring hole, except that the basket is just in the woods on the other side. As we get close to the basket, you'll see that the gap between the trees is pretty wide. And therefore, really, this is a pretty easy hole if you have a big enough arm to cover the distance. I captured this video on Friday afternoon, March the 7th, and it was a mild day with temperatures in the low 60s when I came here. I did see 3 other players on the course when I came here, and so even though this is a small community park, this is a pretty popular course. There's the view back to the 4th tee. Now we head into the woods for the 2 heavily wooded holes on this course. The 5th hole is a slight dogleg left. There is a well-defined fairway, but it's reasonably tight. So despite this hole's shortness, you're going to need an accurate right-to-left disc flight in order to set up a birdie opportunity on this hole. I do like these 2 heavily wooded holes. They provide a nice contrast to the more open holes that is most of the rest of the course. There's the view back to the tee. Hole number 6 is very similar to the previous hole, except that it has a slightly sharper dogleg left, and it has a slightly wider fairway. So you'll need a slightly different shaped disc flight in order to get up here close to the basket and set up a birdie on this hole. I do want to thank you for watching. Parking Full Time would not be anything without the people who watch. I realize that every day, and I heartily thank you every day. There's the 6th basket. And there's the view back to the tee from behind the basket. Now we break back out into the open for hole number 7. And hole number 7 plays across the corner of the same mowed grass field that we played directly across earlier. There are some trees off to the right which create a low ceiling, and therefore I recommend a left to right disc flight to attack this basket. There are a few small trees just to the left of the basket, but those are manageable. The trees off to the right are really not. Coming up now to the 7th basket. Here is the 7th basket. And there's the view back to the tee from behind the basket. The 8th hole is the other hole with 2 tees. Both tees offer a tight direct line to the basket. We started at the left tee, and the left tee also offers the option of using the field out to the left and using a sweeping left to right disc flight in order to come into the basket that way. This hole is almost worth playing twice, once from each tee because it's such different holes. There's the 8th basket. And there's a view back to the tee from behind the basket. The 9th hole is the last hole on this course, and it's also the longest hole on this course. It plays from a slightly elevated tee, and the tee shot is through these tight gaps in the trees down to the fairway. We're going to jump down to the fairway and then walk up to the basket. The park's amphitheater is located on the inside of this slight dogleg right. Due to safety hazards, I would not want to throw this hole if there were people sitting at this amphitheater. Instead, I would throw the previous hole twice, once from each tee. There's some more trees to deal with until you get up to the basket. There's a little bit of dense woods just past the basket, so you don't want to miss long here. Overall, this is an okay course. There aren't any really memorable holes, and a lot of the holes are pretty similar, but it's a nice add-on if you play at nearby Tommy Schumpert Park, which is one of the best courses in Knoxville. That is the end of the course. Have a great afternoon, take care, and Lord bless.